Okay, so hi everyone, it's Becky here. So welcome to another new video on my YouTube channel. So my current sketchbook is an Etchr mixed media A4 size landscape format sketchbook. So let's flip through these pages. So as many of you already know, I love sketching from real life observations. So all of the sketches in here, they were done on location, including the ink drawings and then the watercolor paintings on top. And each page took me about an hour to an hour and a half to draw and paint. So I'm creating a visual narrative of my everyday life, turning pieces of mundane moments into art. So the first set of things I'm gonna sketch in this tutorial video is this coffee mill I bought a couple months ago on Amazon, and a fresh new package of coffee beans. Yeah, so this package has a really charming old-fashioned yellow ochre color. It's also looking pretty decent. So let's sketch these. And a blank sheet of paper is always very inviting for me to sketch. I actually very rarely get intimidated working on a blank sheet of paper. So a paper bag is in the 3D shape of a rectangular prism that we can see two sides of it. And yeah, so one side is very narrow, the other side is much broader. Drawing the handle of the coffee mill first because it's overlapping in front of the package. Finishing the shape of my coffee package. Now starting to move into the inner details, the wrinkles and the pressed edges. And when I'm drawing these lines, I'm feeling the change of elevation, like slopes, dents on the surface. So I just added a label for this coffee here on top and the pressed edges using loose lines. And a tiny wrinkle over there. Now just drawing this other sticker label on the bottom is slanting upwards towards the right, following the bottom edge. And then just quickly doodle these words and letters. I think this is the brand of the coffee. And their logo here in the middle. And the company was established in 1999. A little bit more wrinkles here and there and accentuation. That's it for the coffee package. Now I'm going to move on to draw the coffee mill, just extending the handle a little bit longer. This is the button in the very middle of the coffee mill, the ellipse shape of the cap, and these curves showing the inside and outside volume of the cap, the main machine part, and the bottom to dispense the grinded coffee. Yeah, so both the top and bottom half of this coffee mill is in the shape of a cylinder with these cute little measuring cup signs on the bottom. So that's it. It was really fun to draw. Drawing a platform to connect these two things together in a set. And using very minimal hand pressure, holding the pen to create these shines on the surfaces. That's it of my drawings. Now it's time to have fun adding the watercolors on top. Okay, so before painting, I like to wet the whole area of the coffee package with clear water, so it's easier for the paint to spread out smoothly without any dry brushing marks. So I'm mixing yellow ochre with yellow, so is a little bit more accurate color compared to what I see. It's not perfect yellow ochre, but a little bit brighter than yellow ochre. Okay, just spread it all over. This color is actually very heartwarming. It's kind of like the color of a tropical beach, the color of sunshine, and the color of honey. Yeah, so this is a pretty straightforward flat wash of yellow ochre and yellow, slightly diluted. Now I'm gonna wait for that to dry before shading the package. Adding a bit of coffee powder stain for the dispenser there on the bottom. Now mixing cobalt blue and violet together and a little bit of green to get this bluish gray. Making it a little bit more intense by mixing less water for the next layer to create this value transition of plastic surface. So the cap is transparent plastic, including this part as well, so the gray is much more diluted compared to the head of the coffee mill. The end of the handle and the button there is black plastic, adding some little segments to show the shine or good contrast on plastic surfaces. Okay, so now I'm mixing a little bit violet into the leftover bluish gray and starting to shade the left side of the package, which is away from the window. The window is on the right hand side. And at the same time, this part is dented inwards, so getting less daylight. At the same time, the complementary color of yellow is violet, so yeah, violet is a good color to shade something yellow. Yeah, so when we're painting something yellow, don't be afraid to shade it to make it more three-dimensional, having more volume. And a very diluted version of purple for the front side, which is very minimally shaded. Grabbing some leftover dark sepia for these letters. And there's a very subtle little shadow underneath the sticker there that I just did. Grabbing some Prussian blue to paint this sticker label here, which is actually a lovely color in contrast to the yellow. Yeah, so it's nice to have this blue interruption here on the surface. Shade the left side a little bit more. And now I think I'm ready to move on to add more definitions for the coffee mill. Using leftover blue and violet kind of gray, containing very little bit of water to shade the left side of the little handle, as well at the left and right side of this uneven surface of the machine head, as well as the metallic and the plastic cap. And I'm using my medium tip water brush, and my marks are actually very small to get these little renderings done for sharp contrast. And it's always fun to paint plastic and glass surfaces because it's just so satisfying to get these extremely shaded streaks and spots painted. We have to be really bold and just go for it. At the same time, not overpaint. Yeah, same for the transparent plastic dispenser part. I also put on a little bit leftover brown for the little bit of leftover coffee powder in there. And I like to push for even higher contrast by adding some more intense blue and violet kind of grays. And I want to paint the shadows of these two items as well. For shadows, I start with a fairly light value of gray, and then darker value wrapping around the very bottom edges, pushing for these even sharper and stronger contrast. Yeah, another layer for the machine head. So the surface of this plastic piece is matte, but it still shines a tiny bit. adding some sharper, stronger shaded areas for the plastic cap and the dispenser area. And final polish, refine the grays and making some parts even more intense. And that's it. Yeah, thank you so much for all your birthday wishes. So I'm gonna sketch two little cakes. This one here, a strawberry roll cake. Smells really good. And this likely a tiramisu cake. So my mom bought these for me at a Chinese supermarket today. Okay, so now I'm gonna start drawing the strawberry cake. Is a little cylinder. So I'm gonna start to draw this ellipse shape, which is the top of the cake covered in whipped cream. And the layers of little swirls of whipped cream, the body part of the cake, and the wrapping foil, and the little square tray. And now I'm going to draw the stem of the half strawberry and some confetti beads on top of the cake. This is really cute little ornaments to draw. And the flat swirls of cream. The little seeds on the strawberry. And now I'm just going to suggest some of the air bubbles. The middle part of the cylinder is the closest area to me, so just that area. And now I'm ready to move on to drawing the little tiramisu cake. So it's still a cylinder, but carved into a heart shape on top. Defining one of the sides that shows the volume of the heart shape, and the other side is very foreshortened. And then the square tray, the wavy lines of the foil wrapper. The carvings on the little tray. And now starting to decorate the cake. I think that one is a little chocolate bean there. And a tiny swirl of whipped cream. And these are the fillings in the middle of the cake. Using little dots to suggest a little powdery tiramisu powder. Adding the details for this little tray here, and that's it for the drawing part of the cakes. And so even though these two cakes are in the colors of pink and brown, our cakes contains the stain from eggs, which is a yellowish tone. So here I'm using a very diluted yellow ochre to start this underpainting for both pieces of the cakes. And same for the whipped cream. So good quality real ingredient whipped cream is also has a tiny little bit of yellow tone. Now, first layer for the strawberry cake, it actually has a little peachy color, which is a mix of orange and permanent red. And the tone of the spongy part is lighter compared to these ornaments and the solid strawberry. So for the strawberry, as you can see, it contains way less water compared to the spongy part. And I'm playing with value transition on the surface of the strawberry as well. Same color, water control. I also put on a little bit purple or violet to shade the strawberry. Tiny little drops of purple to shade these little confetti balls. Now it's time to shade the spongy part. I mix in a tiny bit of violet, wet into moist with the peachy color from the first layer. Again, the window is on the right. The left side of the cake is shaded. And now I'm putting on this raw umber color, which is called Van Dyke Brown in the Mungyo 24 color box. And a little bit for these ornaments as well, and for the filling part in the middle of the spongy area. Grabbing some leftover bluish gray to shade the whipped cream part for the strawberry cake. Yeah, very little bit. And very thin brush marks in between the ridges of the swirl. And grabbing some leftover dark green to paint the stem of the cake. Green is a nice cool color to pop from these warm colors. And then leftover peachy colors to paint this colored foil. Same for the tiramisu cake. Leaving some whites for the highlights of the foil. And these two little plastic trays are in peachy colors as well. So just grabbing some permanent thread and dilute it with a lot of water. Leaving some white spots for the shine. And pink things have blue and violet kind of shade colors. So just shading the foil here and there in small segments that are kind of bending down, getting less daylight. Yeah, and same for this piece of foil as well. I see the shaded areas are in a lot of segments of blues and violets. And now I'm grabbing some more concentrated Van Dyke brown, which is very similar to raw umber, wet into moist, almost dry. So as you can see, these brush marks are pretty fuzzy, not dry brush marks. They're kind of fading away, but the marks are still there to get the fuzzy texture of cocoa powder. And I'm gonna keep doing it for this entire half heart. Yeah, so timing is pretty important. We have to make sure that the previous layer is not way too wet, at the same time not completely dried. And keep using this pretty concentrated Van Dyke brown to paint the rest of the chocolate pieces here. Leaving some little spots for highlights of the slightly glossy surface. Little drops for a bit of coffee and cocoa in the middle. Now I want to shade the left side of this cake a little bit more strongly. So grabbing some violet and doing wet on dry, I think is more effective to glaze on the shadow. And some little dots for these holes of air bubbles of a darker value. And it's time to do the final polishing stage. Just add these almost invisible renderings of very small contrast and definitions for the spongy surface, using very subtle little bit of value difference compared to the previous layer. And grabbing some leftover gray to paint the shadow right over here, and a little bit of shade on this cheese area. This is the tiramisu cheesecake. A little bit more bluish gray for the foil so it shines even more. And finally, it's time to paint the shadows. So grabbing violet and mix it with cobalt blue, starting with a relatively light value of purplish gray. And then some more blue and higher intensity wrapping around the bottom edges of these trays. Wet into wet. And here is the look of my finished sketches of my day. So we ordered bento box and sashimi for dinner. Dudu wants to eat as well. Wow, look at him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.